Good afternoon. I am tbham, and once again bringing you a game off of r/castit. This is a nice little community on Reddit, part of the StarCraft community there. People submit the replays, and amateur casters like myself pick them up and cast them just for the hell of it. And so without any further introduction in that regard, go ahead and introduce our two players here. In the top left corner of our map, Akalon Waste, so our red Terran player from Belgium, playing for Team Eternity, it's Azamato. And his opponent, spawning in the bottom right, in blue, is yet another Terran player, playing for Team Prime, it is Miyako. Now if my Google flu was correct, and translate was correct, apparently this team for Miyako is almost premium. That's what it translates to. I'm sure it means something actually completely different, something that actually makes sense if you're actually French. Yeah, that's about all I know about that. Miyako is choosing to go for a gas first before any barracks or anything. With the change to Banshees making Cloak easier to research, this gas first opening has become quite popular. I kind of expect to see some sort of 1-1-1 play, or maybe just quicker Reapers from Miyako. And in comparison, Azamato has decided to go for just his first Rex, and no gas yet, but it looks like he is rallying his next worker over to make a gas on 15. So he'll be getting his tech up relatively quickly as well, but Miyako will definitely likely be the aggressor for the first part of this game at least. With no wall off, however, it's going to be easy for Azamato to poke in here and see exactly what is going on. And on this map, even Banshees will be pretty good, given how much airspace there is around the main and getting to the natural, and etc. So the Banshee play will be quite wise, actually. And Azamato does see that this gas is here, and we'll be able to click on it and see how much has been mined, and he'll know exactly what it is. And seeing the factory come down immediately, it is for sure going to be some sort of early tech harass play. And Miyako is forcing away that SCV. SCV doing a little bit of harass himself there. 2 Marines going to be coming out for Azamato. No usage for the gas guy. He'll likely be going into his own factory fairly soon. Maybe he's going to go for a reactor on this Rex, so he can get out even more Marines pretty quickly. Tech lab coming down for Miyako on this first Rex. So I'm just curious to see what's going to come out of this for him, for her actually. Sorry. He's switching off that barracks, and he's gonna build a starport directly onto the tech lab, and actually making Hellions out of the factory here. So it will be Banshees, will be Hellions at the same time, and meanwhile Azamato is expanding and making his own factory. No engineering bay just yet. I imagine he'll wait for probably a scan relatively soon, just to confirm exactly what is going on. There is no second gas from Miyako, so she probably will be just doing this for an early bit of harass. That will be any sort of all-in build, and just making a lot of units right now. And Starport is finished. The first Banshee is coming out. I expect to see Cloak research starting somewhat soon, just continually adding on Hellions and Marines. So this will be a good amount of harassment coming to Azamato. And this first Hellion actually is already here. It's kind of an interesting little poke. She just wanted to see, I guess, what was going on. I hadn't really seen anything. Didn't actually scout at all. So that was the first thing. First she had seen anything. And Azamato was actually responding by getting his own factory on the reactor and going into reactor Hellions. And seeing that Hellion, he will need that extra Hellion production. And Miyako is actually going to push out here, and is actually neglected to get Cloak. So it's just going to be this Banshee. We'll pop around and be annoying. You can see the rally on that. It is going to just come into Azamato's main base and try to do some work harass while this push comes and hits the front. And Azamato's first 2 Hellions actually are out, and 3 Hellions do beat 2 because math is, that's how math works. There are a good amount of Marines right now, and a medevac coming out actually. So it looks like Azamato was going to go for his own Hellion drop, or maybe like Hellion elevator playing with these Marines here. With a good amount of Hellions, these 2 Hellions actually get a nice little shot off on those on Azamato's Hellions, but with the Banshee, she will be able to poke in the back if she so desired. And the SCVs here to repair. Where'd those SCVs go? Did they get killed already? It looks like those SCVs did get killed already. But this Banshee is going to swing around. And with nothing but Marines right now, this could do a fair bit of damage. There is a cloak, however. However, with the Hellions poking out front, Azamato is going to want to keep those Marines where they are. However, this Banshee's back here already starting to take out. Gets one worker. Does get a second worker. We'll get a third one, but the Marines will make it back. And we'll push the Banshee back. And without cloak, there's nothing really this Banshee's going to be able to do beyond those first few kills. Very nice multitasking play there from Miyako, adding on her own natural CC as a follow-up to this. So definitely just not going all in, just picking up what she can, going for the supply depot right now and kind of getting drawn in by the Marines, trying to do a nice kiting. Since the Banshee does have a greater range than the Marines, they are able to kite, but with that amount of Marines, it's very micro-intensive to do that. And it's just taking a slightly more damage, but again, that's just the one Banshee and already switched off. Her money is actually climbing up quite high, since it is so micro-intensive out front here for her play. It's been a little bit troublesome to do anything in the back, and the response is adding on 2 more barracks, an engineering bay, and getting stim as well. But Azamato did pretty good, pushing back that aggression. Only lost 3 workers, but 3 SCVs that Miyako brought along with the attack were killed off, so the worker kill count is even. And Azamato, with his natural already finished, and as an orbital, he's gonna start getting a slight lead in the worker count. And if nothing else, he has actually he's saving up his scans because he wasn't sure if cloak was there. He has actually seen what's going on in the base, so he hasn't seen that the starport is off the tech lab, and a third CC coming down for Miyako, knowing that money climbed a bit high and being a bit behind since the Banshee harass didn't do quite as much as she would have hoped. And it looks like the Banshee did get killed off, and I missed that. I guess there's a Viking out. There are Vikings out. Azamato scanning and seeing there isn't really much at the front, and he's just going to push up, and he has greater numbers along with this medevac here. He's going to be able to break down the front, and without, there's one tank out, that's going to do a lot of help here. But Azamato will be able to drop right on the tank if he so desires, and there isn't really much out here from Miyako. He'll be sieging up, and we'll be able to take out a lot of these Marines down here, but the Hellions going to have free reign in the natural right now, and only these 3 Marines here against what's happening here. Yeah, 11 workers have been killed by Azamato, so 8 more after that initial harassment. Just scanning, seeing what is up here, and he's actually going to do just that. He's going to drop directly on this tank and be able to take it out with the Hellions, but the Marines are here, and Miyako pulling some SCVs as well to push this back. And Miyako will be able to hold off eventually, but unable to actually do anything with this natural at the moment. And this is kind of falling further and further behind. This third CC is finished though. That's going to be nice to get back ahead, or get back into the work count. A nice little micro from Azamato, picking out the hurt Hellions into the medevacs and dropping them back down. So he gets some more kills than he actually really should have been able to with that micro. But again, Miyako is just far down in the work count now. It's 40 to 28 workers. There is the third CC already done, but a third CC coming up from Azamato, and it looks like he's actually just going to switch directly into straight mech play after his opening there with the Marines and Hellions. 2 more factories on Tech Labs, so he will be going straight mech. And meanwhile, it looks like Miyako will be pushing into Bioblade with a second engineering bay just about to finish. And he did, what upgrade was that? It was +1. +1 did finish along with stim. There's this second engineering bay, but no armory yet, so we won't be able to go into 2-1 anytime soon. We'll have to add an armory first, but as it stands, both players are kind of trying to settle down and get back into having workers. This bunker has been so close to finishing, just a scant second from finishing, and just hasn't quite yet. But oh well, it's just sitting there for the time being. Miyako is just trying to catch up in workers at the moment, with Azamato's third just about to finish, and adding on 1 armory and adding on a second armory as it is. We'll be looking to take one of these 2/3 here for the gas income, given that he is going for a mech playstyle and is actually pushing across the map with these Hellions who don't yet have blue flame. And it's, don't have blue flame yet. Just checking out and seeing if the third is landed yet here, or like they will be going to check in this area too. The bunker did finally finish, so that is there. There is this siege tank here, so if the Hellions do try to poke up, they will take at least 2 shots before actually getting up to the tank. and with the Marine count, with stim done, these Hellions aren't going to be able to actually get into the natural or anything. They're just kind of taking map control at the moment. And meanwhile, this little medevac here, I completely missed what happened. It looked like there was a drop in the main that got pushed back. 3 workers did go down, including the worker that was building both of these armories, actually. And his armory almost did die. So a nice little victory there for Miyako, as I was talking about Hellions doing basically nothing. I completely missed the drop going on, so I apologize. But c'est la vie. Just more factories coming in, up to 5 factories. I'm really good at math, stay in school. So up to 5 factories now, and taking his third. We'll be adding on a gas relatively quickly. Just a whole lot of siege tanks, and playing against mech with bio, it can be quite difficult. I think the Muslim showed it best, where you just kind of have to go around your opponent sometimes. We're watching one guy on Akalam where his opponent was going mech, and actually catching 2 Hellions with the rocks there. Cute little play. I don't think she didn't really mean for that to happen. It just did happen. All these Hellions did get killed and cleaned up, but Azamato is switching into Hellbats and tanks at the moment. I'm interested to see. I'm not sure. Yeah, Miyako has seen that it is mech, so she does know. She will be setting up and getting a lot more Marauders now. Be able to actually push in to the mech without just completely getting killed immediately. Floating her own third over, but worker count now has actually evened up. The earlier third helped out Miyako catch up in workers after that early little push from Azamato. Was able to take out a good chunk of her workers. Quite oversaturated right now at the natural, but given the third just landed, they will eventually move over relatively soon. And Azamato's just macking up it now, adding on another CC. Mech player minerals are very easy to come by, but gas is hard, so adding on all those extra CCs, whether you want to use them just for a lot of orbitals to keep your SCP count low and your army count extremely high, whichever way you decide to go about that. But it looks like Miyako is going to be pushing out here. +2 is going to be finishing before she gets over there, and +2 armor will be close, but not quite there. And he's actually going to walk into a scan here. That was her own scan, I think. But given this huge tank line here, there's not really any way Miyako is going to be able to walk into this. And a nice turret ring from Azamato, knowing that basically the only thing that can really kill him are... Oh, a nice little move there from Miyako. Scanning saw the unsiege and push in and kills off a good amount of siege tanks. Won't get out, but a small little victory there. Lost a lot of army for probably 3 tanks there, I believe. But lost most of her army to do that. And meanwhile, Azamato still has a humongous army at the point. It's 75 to 42 in army supply. Just a huge lead at the moment. Only +1 about to finish up for Azamato. And he will go into 2 shortly. Blue Flame has finished, so those Hellbats are nice and beefy against the Marines. But Miyako has switched over, trying to go more Marauder heavy, and about to attempt to take her own 4th base, but this Hellion here will deny this SCV at the least. And in the meanwhile, Azamato is going to push out, and this is a scary army. 98 to 62 army supply, and given that it is mech against bio and not a whole lot of bio at that, this is going to be problematic. Azamato is going to be able to just set up outside of Miyako's base and really put on the heat here. And indeed, he does siege up, and he's just going to zone out his opponent completely, unsieging every tank even. Knowing how well he is positioned here, he's just going to move around and probably try to swing into this third and just TVT, scanning, seeing what is going on. You have to know where your opponent is and position absolutely wonderfully in order to actually be able to win. But with all of these siege tanks, it's going to be extremely difficult for Miyako to push in. Only hope is basically one massive push to crush the army, and with only half the tanks unsieging at a time, but a nice stim here, taking out a good chunk of the Hellbats. The Hellbats got a little antsy and a little ahead of themselves, so they weren't actually being covered by the tanks, but all these tanks back here, this little flank that Miyako is trying to set up isn't going to be able to do much, and this third base here is getting completely ransacked, and a ton of workers have been killed. there's just really nothing that Miyako can do. In fact, she's going to try to move across the map and counter. Basically, that's the only hope, is just to counter and take out a lot of your opponent's workers. But this base is dead. The Vikings are going to come over here and clean it up. And army supply is still, it has evened out slightly, but a good chunk of Miyako's army is over here. And they're on move command, actually. They were attempting to get into the third. They're going to finally take out the rugs here. But Azamato is in a great position, just be able to see. And with the stars, he knows that this is here. There are some tanks already set up. 2 more reinforcement tanks back there. Has Unsiege completely up here in the front. He doesn't really need to siege. He can just walk in and take out this entire army. Miyako will be able to kill this third CC off, so nice little victory. But these tanks are going to keep all these units down in this space rather than actually being able to push in. And given how many CCs that Azamato has, it's not a huge loss, just the amount of money. And his opponent is only on these 2 bases here, and going to be in a rough spot. Miyako's basically have 1 chance to crush this army, and that's going to be very difficult. +3 armor is just about to finish. +3 attack has finished Miyako already, so the upgrades are very nice. She is going up against +1 attack and +2 armor right now for the mech. So with +3 finishing, she will have a good chance to clean everything up, and catching a few units is always a nice little positive. This tank over here is going to be taken out, but again, all these tanks over here, it's a lot of tanks at the moment. Miyako's just trying to get a good position, and all these scans going down for Azamato. He knows exactly where his opponent is. He's not going to cut off, and all these units trying to catch up, and he's just, Miyako's trying to just kind of push Azamato into one little corner here, and is doing a nice job of it. Any reinforcements are going to have to come through this area, and Miyako looks like she's loading up a drop, but with all these turrets, it's going to be difficult to actually get any dropping done. That drop may be to drop on the tanks, but with the amount of Vikings that Azamato has, it'll be very difficult to get in there and actually do anything. Meanwhile, Azamato is just massively ahead in income right now. That's really all there is to it. 62 harvesters to 37, not to mention 4 bases against just the 2, and I mentioned the main is mined out for Miyako. So she's in a very rough spot. At a decent bank, but just not able to really produce right now. Very supply capped, actually, as it stands. And actually looks like she's going to move in here and try to just crush this army again, like I said. But all these tanks back here at the same time, dropping on top of the tanks. A very nice move from Miyako there. But wow, she actually manages to clean up everything. All that's left over right now are the Vikings, but Vikings can't really do anything against this ground army. So a nice little victory there for Miyako, but again, just the worker supply right now is just so in favor of Azamato. He's still got a huge army back home as well. 144 supply to 78. Kind of tells the story there. All these SCVs are working in one spot, and just now another CC, actually 2 CCs coming up, trying to take 2 bases at once because he knows I have to take a risk and I have to get back in this game somehow. This little hit squad of Marines and Marauders are going to come over here, and they haven't actually seen this base yet, but they will run right into it. And it is an orbital, so an orbital doesn't tend to survive too well against a lot of bio. And given how far away his Azamato's army is, Miyako will be able to snipe this base off. Actually, there's not many Marines, so they won't be able to actually take us out with the SCVs praying. He does get she does get a lot of kills there, but with the reinforcements showing up, he's going to have to run away and try not to get her entire army killed off for basically not much. So able to kill some SCVs. That is really just about it. And it is 163 to 80 supply with really not much in the production tab for Miyako. Meanwhile, Azamato is just kind of going to march across the map here and really put on the pressure and likely take out his opponent. Again, just a huge supply lead, both in workers and in army. And given that it is a mech army, which is very difficult to just crush in the first place when you're even on supply, being down almost, your opponent was almost doubling your army supply, it's very, very difficult to do anything of worth. And in fact, Azamato is going to push in here. There is a good amount of stem bio, and none of the tanks have siege yet, but it's even with unsieged tanks, Azamato is so far ahead. This base is gonna have to lift and get out. Miyako's gonna try to mine for as long as she possibly can at that base, but there's really not much she's able to do there. And Miyako is indeed going to just leave the game at this point. Was far behind. It is very frustrating to play against a style like this. her first push got crushed pretty well, and was just unable to really get back in the game after that. So nice little mech style play out of Azamato there, and hopefully see some more games out of him. Again, these are two high Masters players. I'm not sure exactly what they have done outside of ladder. I know I saw Miyako's name on one of the WCS qualifiers, but it was like one of the first rounds, so I'm not sure what all Azamato's doing. Anyway, again, I am tbham. You can find me on Twitter at tbhamsc. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. I try to do a lot of casting like this, and again, submit replays to r/castit. All links for that will be in the comments. And until next time.